When the transfer portal opens officially on January 2nd, some guys will already know where they are going. I don't know if Nick Marsh, the wide receiver from Michigan State, will be one of those guys. I just know he'll be one of the highest impact players to change teams in this upcoming portal cycle. The reason that is the case is Nick Marsh was a pretty big time recruit. It was a great get for Michigan State. He's been very productive the last 2 years. New administration coming in, Jonathan Smith out, Pat Fitzgerald in, Nick Marsh is in the portal. This is a guy, trying to not sound like Chris Collinsworth, but we all hear it every time we say the word guy. Now here's a guy who's had over 600 yards receiving each of the last 2 years, which is crazy for 2 reasons. Number one, actually 3 reasons. I'm going to go 3 reasons why it's crazy Nick Marsh has been that statistically productive over the last couple of years. Number one, there are a lot of really good defenses in the Big Ten. Number two, Michigan State has been pretty dreadful for the last couple of years. They have won, nine games in the last 2 years? Yeah, not good. It's why Jonathan Smith is no longer employed in East Lansing. And reason number 3, Jonathan Smith has an offensive philosophy that is predicated on running the ball and heavy set play action that uses its tight ends as much as its wide receivers. Nick Marsh is a game-breaking, game-changing, number 1 caliber wide receiver for a Power 4 school out there. The last guy that I can remember that transferred from Michigan State that wasn't on the interior, that had this sort of impact, at least once upon a time was at Michigan State, was Jeremy Bernard. And Nick Marsh is a big-bodied guy, proven production, has 2 years of eligibility left. You might only get 1 out of him. He's so good that he could go somewhere, have more than 1,000 yards in a season, which he's absolutely capable of doing. And then he might go off to the NFL draft. That's the sort of guy he is. But is a wide receiver someone you would bring in for 1 year, Michigan, for 1 year to get a lot of production out of, even if you knew it wasn't going to last forever? Yeah, there are plenty of places that would say yes to that. So I'll talk about maybe the second best receiver that is in the portal right now or will enter the portal. We'll see what happens with Ryan Williams at Alabama. That whole situation feels very, very strange. Now, Michigan is probably too much of a mess, and as I record this segment, they still don't have a head coach to keep him in the mitten state. But would he be a fit there? Yeah. Is that the sort of system he's looking for? Maybe not. Maybe he's looking to go somewhere like a USC, where he could go and have the ball thrown to him a lot and replace Jacoby Lane if he doesn't decide to come back. I have to think about whether does Jacoby Lane have another year of eligibility? I don't know. I'd have to double check on that. He's a Jacoby Lane type of player, but the place that feels to me, and this is just gut instinct. This is just evaluating him as a wide receiver and looking at the type of wideout he is. He feels like an almost 1-to-1 replacement for Elijah Surratt or Omar Cooper at Indiana. Those guys are likely going to the NFL after this season. And man, if I were Curt Cignetti and I were that offensive staff in Bloomington, you got to figure out who your quarterback is going to be. If Brendan Sorsby is indeed a lock to go down to Texas Tech, you got to explore some other options. Maybe you get Sam Levitt. You pair those 2 guys together. By the way, Sam Levitt was at Michigan State once upon a time for whatever that is worth. I don't think he ever had a crossover with Nick Marsh, but I don't know. Maybe they'd bond over that sort of connection. That sort of tandem could become the next Mendoza to Elijah Surratt. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But Nick Marsh in the portal, wherever he lands, can go be wide receiver 1. He doesn't have those numbers yet. He still had 2 very productive seasons. Nick Marsh is really good. Another receiver, Jayce Brown, very different type. This one screams USC to me. Again, that's gut reaction, not I've been told that this school is reaching out. Just thinking about where these sorts of guys would fit. Jayce Brown, transferring from Kansas State, who of course didn't have the season that they were supposed to have. I thought they'd be a 10-win team, and they were a 6-win team. So fell a little short of expectations. Jayce Brown's a guy that I don't think is wide receiver 1, but he's a darn good wide receiver 2 and can create explosive plays. He could be a wide receiver 1 in the right system. I don't see it. I watch him. I compare him a bit to Xavier Restrepo with better game-breaking speed. And Miami, frankly, in my head, would be a really interesting fit. If you paired him with Malachi Toney, you would have a Texas A&M level duo deep threat duo. That's what I should have said there. Because Malachi Toney, the true freshman, incredible. You put Jace Brown there, boy, you have got two serious home run threats on the outside. But again, these two guys, as far as portal wide receivers go, there are a lot of wide receivers that enter the portal, and plenty that wind up having more success at their new home than they did at their previous spot. Think about Zachariah Branch going from USC to Georgia, where he was fine at USC, but got lost in the shuffle a little, goes to Georgia, can be more of a focal point. When you watch the Georgia offense, he's making an impact. These two guys are that caliber of wide receiver. So I don't know who else is going to enter the portal as a wide receiver spot. Conservatively, I'll say these are going to be two of the 8 best wideouts to hit the portal this year. Conservatively. We could very well look back at the receiver portal market and say they were 2 of the top 4 and they entered before Christmas. But whoever picks up those two guys, game-changing couple of players. Wanted to note a couple of running backs as well to wrap this segment. So one of them has got more production. The other one, I'm a little bit more confident in. So let me start with the production aspect. Cam Edwards was at UConn this past year. And UConn, if you didn't know, won 9 regular season games, played a decent independent schedule. Jim Mora has moved on to Colorado State, going into the New World Pac-12. Cam Edwards is going to command a higher dollar figure than that, than what they'd be able to offer him in, I believe, Fort Collins, where Colorado State is. Hope I don't have that wrong. Anyway, Edwards is a guy that went for well over 1,000 yards this year. Really good back. Making a jump in competition. I'm not that worried about it. However, I could just as easily talk you into Cam Edwards being a Power 4 starting running back next year as I could Adam Muhammad. So this one caught me by surprise. Adam Muhammad was the backup at Washington this season. And Jonah Coleman, believe is done after this year. He's going to go to the NFL anyway. He was in line to be RB1 at Washington next year. Big, physical back who is shiftier than you think. Not a home run hitter, but I tell you, this feels like an intra-Big Ten transfer. Inter is 2 different leagues. Intra stay within the same league. Adam Muhammad, look, I think he could go to a lot of different places. A lot. And he could work out. Don't know if he's a huge pass catcher. Not a speed or a scat back. Definitely a physically bruising kind of guy. Reminds me a bit of J.D. McCray down at Georgia, formerly of Illinois. Maybe Georgia wants to go that route again. We'll see. But when I watch Adam Muhammad run, he feels to me like an Iowa back, a second running back maybe to pair with Justice Haynes at Michigan. Does he want to go to that situation? Maybe not. Indiana, I could see that. But his numbers are not going to blow you away. But just know, you put him in the right system, he will be a 1,000-yard rusher at a big-time program next year.